There's a lot I can talk about this movie, and I'll chime in with my opinions. You guys kind of know where I stand, maybe not the nuances of it. Anybody who's read my review knows where I stand. Anybody who's had to listen to me recommend this movie, uh, and for the last 6 months, knows where I stand. But I got a lot of "you're right" texts this weekend too, so I'm very proud of that. With that all being said, I'm throwing it over to Joe. First things first. What do you think? General thoughts. Cha cha real smooth.
So, last year when you were talking about your favorite movies of the year that you saw and everything, and you put Shithouse on there, you were praising Cooper Rafe. I mean, this Steve was practically saying like, this is a guy to keep an eye out for and everything. I didn't take that one bit, and I never went to go see Shithouse. But then Steve told us about Cha Cha Real Smooth. And that he saw it at Sundance, and that it was probably going to be again in his top 5 favorite movies this year, and that he can't wait for us to get it. And then slowly but surely, it got the Apple TV Plus deal and everything else, and now we're finally here. And all I gotta say is, Mr. Cooper Rafe, dude, welcome to the fucking club of like one of my favorite upcoming people to watch right now, because this movie was a real treat. I don't know if I love it as much as you, Steve, but I had a great time watching this movie. I never looked at a director, writer, and star of a movie and really felt like this guy feels... I mean, I'm like that meme where it's like, wow, he's just like me. It was just like I was watching Cooper Rafe the entire time, how he acted in interviews, on screen, on camera, just the way he writes dialogue for 22-year-olds and everything. I'm like, this guy gets it. This guy knows how like people our age talk, people our age deal with their emotions and stuff. I'm like, this guy totally get that. There's scenes in this movie, it's just like, yeah, anybody who came straight out of college thinking like, man, I'm gonna hit the pavement running, I'm gonna be hitting stuff, I'm gonna get a job that I want right out of the gate, and they didn't get any of that. It's like, man, he hits every beat that I think any young 20-year-old can relate to, right down to the feeling of being like in love and thinking that like this is it, it's do or die with this person when it comes to falling in love, especially in this movie Cha Cha Real Smooth, man. This was like, I didn't text you "you're right" because I've been waiting to talk to you about it on the show. I didn't post my star rating on Redbox or whatever the hell it's called,
Letterboxd, and I noticed that too. I noticed that. I was like, he's embargoing it for me and me only.
I watched this. I watched it on Sunday night, and I was like, all right, that was really damn good. I think I need to watch it again. So I watched it again today during my lunch break, and then just kind of played it while I was working in the background. And I found myself constantly turning over to the screen to watch certain scenes. And eventually, like, as we got closer to our work event that I had to go to, I was just like, all right, I'm like, it's like 30 minutes left of this movie, and I'm leaving in 20. I'm just going to, like, watch the rest of this movie and everything, because screw it. Yeah, man, no, this was a treat, man. This was a big surprise. I know you've been like, praising this movie like crazy and everything, and I went into it thinking like, all right, at the very least, it's gonna be good. Like, it's just like the way this kid has been praising this damn movie, it's gonna be at least good. Steve usually like, hits the nail on the head for me when it comes to movies like this, these smaller type of movies. Not Nocturnal Animals. What's it called? The one that Movie Pass helped produce. And nobody saw
American Animals.
American Animals was one that I even thought like, man, nobody saw that but Steve, and to me he was right in the head with that. Well, this to me is a movie that I think people, I hope, will eventually see, and I hope it gets the recognition it deserves, because it's a damn good one, and it's like I would love to see a young director like Cooper Rafe continue on going. Now I'm just praising Cooper Rafe over here. I'm not praising the movie as much, but I want to pass off to Dom so he can get what he thought like, initially, and then we can start talking about the movie even some more.
This movie exudes like a real quiet energy that you don't realize you are seeped in until you're almost done with it, and it hits you right there. And my goodness, I never really thought much of Dakota Johnson, not because I had seen something and thought bad of her, but just because, I never really got into the 50 Shades trilogy. That's low hanging fruit, really. But honestly, never really had seen much of her acting skills or performances. And my goodness, what was I missing out on? And her matching with Cooper Raiff, it's a match made in heaven. It's the movie that you didn't know you wanted, if specifically talking in terms of that meetup. And how that plays out, particularly with the writing, it's really refreshing to see a movie like this come out. And the context certainly helps with everything being so dour in life, particularly everything around it in terms of movies as well. But man, this not since, I don't know. No, I'm not gonna say Scott Pilgrim. That's far and above beyond it. But in terms of like a coming of age movie, this hit the spot for me, because I can be a sucker for those. I can also get real cynical on them real quick when they get formulaic, but this really rekindled something for me that I didn't know I needed to be rekindled. And
I think what helps is it's a coming of age story that I really don't see too often.
It starts as romance, right?
Yeah.
It starts as romance, right?
And not only that, but just the age
and everything.
The age that you see this character at. Like most coming of age stories, like, you think of 8th grade from Bo Burnham, you think of the Haley Steinfeld one. They're all in high school. They're all going through their puberty type of thing. This is a guy who's
really cynical stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
This is a guy who just graduated college. It's like, damn, we don't typically, like, even Lady Bird, it was just her going to college, her getting ready for her first year. We really don't see too many coming of age stories where it's like, man, what happens once you get done with that part of your life? Like, and our generation has been the people like constantly talking about it. Like, man, once you get out of college, like, life hits you fast. Like, it just comes at you.
What if you're 25 and you haven't come of age?
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I thought
you can come of age
so
really
cool.
if any year. You're not exclusive. It's not exclusive to your teenage years. You can come of age at 50 years old.
I mean, some argue that Soul is even a coming of age story because and that's about a 45-year-old man who loves jazz.
Yeah, this is like The Graduate, but a good ending. I think Graduate was also a good ending, but you know what I mean. It never goes dark. It never goes particularly evil in any kind of specific way. It's all very grounded. You're rooting for pretty much all of these characters, even the dude who's getting cheated on, and he did get cheated on. But the dude who got cheated on, I was kind of rooting for him too. I'm like, I hope he gets a good ending because he's kind of getting screwed over. And that's actually one aspect of writing I want to ding here, but we'll get into that later. What I really want to say real quick, just in terms of my opening arguments for this movie, is that it is refreshing, and it's kind of an overused word, but just like on a day like today where you have a nice cool drink of water, that really personifies it for me. And if anything else, this is I really cannot wait to see what Raiff does next, what he does with, I mean, the fact that he is acting not opposite but alongside Leslie Mann here, Judd Apatow's wife. I'm like, geez, I hope that gets him in the good. He's probably already in those circles.
A person who's known for like starring in dramedies, and their husband directing a ton of dramedies, and he's just holding his own in scenes with her, man.
Yeah, dude. And I don't know if I want him to collaborate with Apatow in any capacity, but hopefully, it really gives him something to work with. So I'll stop there and I'll let Steve take his indie darling onward.
Cooper Michael Raiff has got next. He's got next. I've been saying it now. I thought it was Shithouse. And I highly recommend you guys. I'll even rent the friggin' thing on Vudu for you guys to watch. That's how much I believe in this thing. I thought it was Shithouse. I can confirm it now with Cha-Cha Real Smooth. And there's a myriad of different reasons. Now, I really want to use my buddy. I didn't ask him for this, but I'm seeing him this weekend. He has to feed and house me this weekend anyway for my birthday, so I don't really care. But Nick, my buddy Nick, this is another guy. I told him about Shithouse. He loves Shithouse. I told him in January, I said, Cha-Cha Real Smooth. I'll keep you posted when it comes out. Cooper Raiff did it again, man. So he texts me. He watched it on Saturday, and I rewatched it on Saturday too. He watched it on Saturday. He texted me and like I could tell what part he was at. He said, dude, this guy is literally you. No wonder you like this. And then an hour and 30 minutes later, he texts me, well, that was fucking depressing. and I told him, I said, it smacks you, doesn't it? Because you think you have it figured out. You think it's a 20-something sexual fantasy for the first 20 minutes of the movie. And then it takes you into something deeper. Shithouse does the exact same thing. And having seen interviews with many an interview with Rafe, who's really a lot like he is in the interviews as he is.
I could not imagine anything else like this.
Like, he can't fake this. He can't fake this.
No,
even the interviews, I don't think he recognizes how smart he is with the way he writes characters, doesn't go for the easy out, and also has these pointed moments that a lot of 20-something male filmmakers would be very hard-pressed to include in their movies, even if they felt them. Case in point, that scene, which is really just towards the end, where he's expressing how much he loves his mother, Leslie Mann. Cooper Raiff, and I know it with this thing too, it comes out apparently. Cooper Raiff has a special soft spot in his heart for moms, particularly his own. Because his first movie, Shithouse, that was a huge part of the movie. There's a scene in Shithouse where he leaves a surefire sexual encounter at a college party to call his mother on the curb, and it's not played for laughs. And that is an element of his movies I think makes him extremely mature, extremely hard on his sleeve, but not in a corny, sentimental way. And then the other thing I love about Cooper Raiff too, and again, the guy's 25. He's relatively our age. This is the second movie which prominently features him multiple points crying, male crying in a movie not played for laughs. And that's another thing that I think he absolutely nails. He doesn't go for the cheap shots. He doesn't go for the humor. He doesn't try to make comedy out of cliches, but he shows the real emotional toll in certain moments. And he's not afraid for that heart on his sleeve moment too. And he's also not afraid to be the most unlikable character on the screen at any given time. That's another big important element. With that, I pass it off to you. Which one's going to fight for the mic next?
I guess I'll just say that Cha-Cha Real Smooth does a really, really good job. Yeah, as you said, making you feel uncomfortable, not in a very obvious way, but in a way it's like, oh, I really thought that we were going to delve into this. Almost kind of disappoints you, which is something I'm still wrestling with. Like, did this movie disappoint me in a way that is genuinely disappointed, or did it disappoint me in a way where it's like, oh, maybe this was good for me to like actually experience something like this? And Rafe is an artist at this point already, where I can be like, I can actually consider that, as opposed to some other movies where it's like, no, that was just a mistake. That should not have happened. This was dumb. Case in point, last week's movie, Jurassic freaking Park. So you know what I mean about breath of fresh air, breath of cool water. But it's like, it's like this movie, but also like Rafe in general. It seems like I haven't seen Shithouse, but it's like this is what good parenting looks like, right? This is like what happens when someone who has a good childhood and like is actually raised properly and isn't damaged, and is actually gets to like live life. And I can see I had the thought where it's like, wow, this son of a bitch is really privileged, isn't he? He gets to just, have sexual fantasies with Dakota Johnson and just live in his parents' or, stepdad's house while everyone's nice to him. But, he's a good guy. He proves to be a good guy through the whole ordeal. Blazing heart, idealized in every sense of the word, but he actually manages to do pretty much the right thing, except for when he is in a big emotional drought. The times where it's actually understandable and you're rooting for him to not do it, but he just winds up doing it anyway. And actually, I'm being vague for the sake of plot, but honestly, like even in his darkest moments, I think, where you think it's all going to go wrong, right? He still prevails, like morally. He's still a mess. and gets kicked off some Jewish bar mitzvahs, but whatever. And it's man, I have only seen this movie once, not even in the background, but I've only seen this movie once, and I do want to watch it again, and I do want to watch Shithouse, and just to see what this guy's got, because where this plot goes, I really wasn't expecting it to go, and it's not even a roller coaster of a ride. It just brings you somewhere pleasantly different. I'll keep it there, and I'll let that monasticize while I figure something else.
Joe, what say you?
I mean, man, look, to me, this God, where do I even want to go with this now? To me, it is a breath of fresh air. Of course, we don't typically get to see stuff like this anymore nowadays, and of course, it comes from a young, probably an aspiring director wanting to bring back stuff like this, of course, and everything. I mean, just one of my favorite moments of this movie, and Dom, you kind of talked about this, is that, yeah, like when he's at his lowest, he still prevails. I mean, let's be honest here. Like, this is one of the few movies to me that, like, shows, like, when you're going through some shit, like, it sucks in the moment. It really does. But you're gonna get by. And it shows, it's not waiting for the next big plot thread to get by. It's just like the next day you're gonna start being better. And the next day you're gonna get better. And the next day you're gonna be, and like your life is gonna keep playing out. And I thought that was like, it's like, man, talk about a guy like that has been probably studying just how like these dramedies or coming of age movies are done, and just finding moments where it's like, I'm gonna do something different here and flip it on its head, so that way this film feels entirely refreshing.